Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Sammons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Anri Olivier, founder of Olivier Expressions. Anri will be sharing who works with entrepreneurs and professionals to help them find their voice, express themselves confidently, and show up authentically in both business and life. Her work focuses on helping people move past fear and overthinking and into clarity, confidence, and real expression. Anri, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Olivia. I'm very excited.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey as well. So, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So, if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up Olivier Expressions, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Of course, yeah. And I think this is also one of the bigger questions is, so I was a marketing director for a wearable tech company called LifeQ, and I was there for about 9 years, and I was just in and out of startups for about 15 years before all of this happened. And it was a fantastic learning experience. Being in and out of startups gave me a lot of edge to what I'm doing now. But I think the reason everything needed to switch is just because there was so much compounding of I'm an artist. I have a master's degree in concept art for animation, and I'm a graphic designer. And I was always working with these doctors, and I even worked with a neuroscientist and a rocket scientist. And it didn't feel like that was where I belonged. So there were countless times where I had to give my ideas to somebody else in order for it to have a stage. And that really sucked the soul out of me. And I saw that with a lot of women in my space too, that there were so many expectations on what we had to be, how we needed to act. And I was always told I had to be grateful that I got to be there. I had to be grateful for this baby percent rage when everyone else got bigger raises, and which was fine because that's how I was raised, right? But I realized that I was so far from impact. I wasn't really helping the person I wanted to. I wasn't even helping myself. So it all started with a self journey of I didn't know how to use my voice. I didn't know I had one. So how can I create a stage for it? And that's where Olivier Expressions came into be because believe it or not, it started as art. It just literally was how can I express myself in a way that won't be judged, that can help somebody else? So I just started creating a lot of art around affirmations and identity and who I wish to be and how I wish to express myself because I didn't know it was capable for me. And it had this powerful ripple effect. Like it was as if the world was like, all right, she's ready. Let's just give her everything. And then I found Regan Hillier. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but
No.
Regan was like my catalyst. So
Okay.
she was talking about the possibilities of a person, of a human, of a woman, and she had that 80-20 rule of it's all inner work and mindset before strategy. And I was like, what? No one's told me this before. So then I found mindset work and I went into Mind Valley, and then coaching just beautifully fell into my lap. And from there, it was this new stage. It was, oh my word, I now get to help people directly. I now help them reshape the molds they were told to be in. And I finally felt connected to impact. I felt connected to allowing people the transition that I got because it was a six-figure job. I had a great title. I had a lot of connections in that space, but I resigned. And I was just saying that I would much rather live in this constant of what's next. Is it going to be stable? Is it worth it? But be excited about it rather than being in this just day to day where I feel nothing, I am nothing, and I can't do anything. So it was really powerful to be able to do that. And the so it's a constant rather than fear, it's just exciting thing of what do I get to do to make sure that I can impact again tomorrow rather than having it end today. So that's a Love
That's such a cool
summary.
goal to that's such a cool goal to end it on. And like firstly, thank you so much for sharing your journey. And I feel like there are so many people listening, like even myself, that can very much resonate with exactly how you're describing it. Like, especially for women, we are often have to sit in the shadows or use other people for our voice, especially if we are naturally more taken aback, or as you say, maybe just from our upbringing, it's more of a like that seen role instead of being heard. But also our authority isn't always matched as where we think it should be. So exactly as you're saying, you're surrounded by people because they have a better title or a better degree. Sometimes they feel like you shouldn't be heard over them. So you have to navigate your way around that, and then obviously learn how to blossom in an environment that is not so comfortable for you anyway. So I'm so glad that you kind of found yourself in that situation and then very much moved on into that impact and that creativity kind of mindset of where you wanted to be. And when it does come to that 80, I don't know who you was talking about, but I will go and look her up after the podcast. And when you are talking about the 80-20 rule, like half of it is complete mindset. After that comes a strategy. But with your mindset and when you are within that kind of work, it's more of a spiral than a linear effect. So you're always constantly reevaluating, constantly finding out what's going on, constantly discovering more, which adds the impact of the system you've put in place. It just marries so well together. So with all that being said as well, did you ever have a like little bit of an inkling that you would become an entrepreneur and move into that coaching space, or was that just something that naturally developed for yourself as you went throughout your own journey?
I've always secretly wanted to do something like that. Like I've always seen myself on a stage helping or teaching, but it's never been something like a narrative that's been given to me where I
Yeah.
felt it was possible. So my dad's an entrepreneur and there are a few in the family, but I was always told that my world is small, my box is small. So it was a decision I made for myself. And I didn't think that it would be going this well so quickly because it was just been 9 months since I started coaching, and it's been not even that long, like 6 months since I've resigned. And
Okay.
it's just the momentum and the trajectory has been phenomenal. And I've already done like global events. I already have a community and clients. So it's just great to know that it is meant to be and I get to do this
Yeah.
every single day.
I
Yeah.
love that. And as you said, even at the in the other bit, it's like just waking up knowing that tomorrow you're gonna have even more of impact than the day before. I think that's just such a nice way to just, as you say, keep yourself moving. And it's obviously working because the impact you've made in such a short space amount of time with the community, with the coaching you're doing, is a really cool aspect. So let's dive into Olivia Expressions a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So, Henri, at this point in, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it that you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them, and how do you support them along their own journey?
Yeah, I love that question. So, my ICP is our female founders, female entrepreneurs, female creators. So, basically, me. I am my own ICP. And the reason I believe that's powerful is because I've been where they've been. I can hold their hand through these little steps. And it's so great to be only a few steps ahead because then I think you can guide them a lot more authentically. But the biggest thing that I've discovered is that your business will not outgrow your mindset. So if you're trying to scale and do all these big things, but internally you don't believe that you can handle it, you're not really sure you want success, there's still all of these preconceived, embodied rules and generational issues within you, you're not going to scale as much as you have the capability to. So that's where I help them. It's not just mindset, but it's business because they need to be even. And the thing that's really changed it all for me is that I also use aligned AI, so humanized AI. And I have something called a master key that you incorporate. But I want to help these women because, and I'm scattering a little bit, but to go back to how my life changed is that when a woman impacts, she creates lasting change. Like that ripple effect is phenomenal. And I want to give that to more women the way it was given to me and the way somebody else gave that to me. So that's what I want to do. And if I can help female founders, creators who are a little bit in their way or have all of these like society, generation, rah, holding them back, I just want to break all of those rules. and and rule is it was coined by Vishen Lakhiani, but it's a BS rule. So I think it's just for clarity what that is. And let's break all of those so that you can actually step onto the stage where you belong, where you can make impact, where you can tell stories, and where you get to be the woman you wish you had when you were younger. So that's what I want to create.
I love that. And I feel like everybody needs a little bit of someone they wish they had when they was younger by their sides now. And yeah, as you're saying, it's that nice ripple effect. So the more that they can open up, the more that their mindset blossoms and their obviously ecosystem builds as well. Naturally, that trickle down effect will hopefully help out in general in other aspects. And I know you did mention that obviously you integrate AI with what you're doing, but do you very much get in your trenches with your clients? Or like, what is your style or your approach, Omri, when you are working with them when it comes to coaching?
Yeah, of course. So we go through kind of three stages. It's mindset, momentum, and then mastery. And what that means is my style is like when we, let's say like the whole flow, right? I have been meeting all of my women organically or at events, and I really just I want you to pour everything onto me. Who you are, what you're trying to achieve, who you're trying to impact, what you're trying to create, why, like what is your superpower? And then what I do is see all the little gaps and we build the bridges to meet just so everything can come together. And it starts with mindset. So I do closed eye visualizations, 6 phase meditation. We do a lot of powerful questions just to really unlock because every single person has all the resources, all the superpowers within them, and they should never look externally for permission or validation. So I help you unlock all of that. And once you are just like so good, so powerful, then we go into the next step of courage and confidence and how to make better decisions, how to really build that self-trust so that you can have conviction in everything that you do. And that's where the business comes in. So how can we amplify your business? And because we're now in this day and age of aligned AI, just AI, it's never been easier to start a business or to create something, but it does feel inauthentic and some people are really afraid of it. But what we do is we create an AI business. So AI employees, how can we remove tasks so you get 80% back in your 80% of your time back in your day? And you can use that again towards being closer to impact, spending more time with your clients, leading more, teaching more, so that you don't have to worry about all the admin. And
Yeah.
it's all in this container where I'm doing groups soon, but it's just a safe space one-on-one where we really just amplify all of your superpowers. We get rid of anything that's blocking you, and then you learn to, what I like to say, dance with fear rather than be afraid of it, because fear is your most powerful ally. But I don't think people know that.
No, it's so true. People are so scared of fear, but they often forget like they're scared the first time they do anything, which is when fear comes into play. So as you say, it can be your most powerful ally. Using that as more of a motivation, or as I like to use it as a little bit of adrenaline coming into something when I'm scared. It's like getting over that first fear. But once you sink into it, as you say, everything starts to flow naturally. And I love the fact that you use the word superpower. I say that all the time. I actually call my superpower my spidey senses. And it's just very much like leaning into that side of things and then taking it from there. But as you said, like it does take a lot of sometimes self-discovery, looking within yourself, and it's very much easier said than done. So I love the fact that you are guiding them through that process. And then, as you say, once we found that, we can then move on to the clarity and the confidence, and really just take hold of what you want to do with the rest of your life. I do want to touch on AI a little bit because, as you said, a lot of people are very cautious of it at the moment. You know, it can be very robotic. It can make people sound very generic. But I feel if you're using it in the right way, exactly as you said, to gain time back in your life and in your business, helping you out with those like day-to-day runnings that don't come naturally to people, but also take up so much time that you could be spending doing other things. So it's nice you're integrating it in a way that supports them moving forward and doesn't take away their voice. They're still being authentic at the end of the day. It's just allowing them to have a best friend in their pocket to help with those little jobs they don't want to be doing and moving on from there. And I know you mentioned obviously not, everything's growing very organically for you at the moment, which is a really cool aspect. So what are you doing in terms of acquiring your customers? Is it just like popping content online? Is there a platform that is proving most dividends at the moment?
So at the moment, everything has been coming in through content online, like you said, as well as I love going to networking events or any kind of big conference and engaging there because you get a lot of fuel and it's just amazing to connect with people. I do, however, know that it is limiting. So what I'm doing now are building masterclasses and doing one-to-many rather than
Cool.
one-to-one, because that way I can reach more people. I can spend more time teaching and giving them everything that they need, and then they can say, okay, I'm ready to actually integrate it because information is not transformation. You have to apply the information to activate the transformation. So you give them all the value that they can have and then then do the interaction. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know that organic has a bottleneck at some point or has a cap. And I think I've reached that cap. So right now what I'm doing is going more into outreach and more ads or anything like that. But it's more engagement now rather than just allowing things to find me.
Cool stuff. Yeah, and as you say, like organic does have its bottleneck. It's all the other thing as well. It's not as predictable as you need it to be sometimes when you are thinking more in that business mindset. So I think adding ads on, and even as you say, bringing in a masterclass, you're providing information beforehand, and then you obviously mentioned a group before as well, which I really enjoy. I think it brings another level of like camaraderie to any offer. You have a very similar group of people going through a very similar situation. It's nice that they can lean on each other and learn from each other as well as having that coach there to support them. So that's a really cool aspect. And then yeah, just building on that consistency you've got for yourself. And I suppose with all that being said, like what are your goals or your ambitions moving forward for the business? Like when you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months ahead, like what are those targets, those milestones you're looking forward to achieving?
Oh, of course. So the first thing I would like to move from 10K months to 25K months. So I think that will definitely allow me to have more bandwidth to create more events, which means I want to, instead of going to events, I want to create events for women. I want them to know that they're not alone. I want them to know everything that's available to them. I want to bring more possibility into their own bandwidth so that they know what to step into. And I also would love to have more speaking events to where I can once again, one to many, see how I can unlock, help them discover. I just want to really put the possibility and the permission into their hands. So if I can show them what's possible and let them know that they have the power to choose it and they don't need anything else, then I've done my service. So it's all about how can I reach more people and how can I, it's a business, right? It's not a nonprofit, get enough money and energy back into myself in order to continue and amplify the ripple effect because you cannot pour from an empty cup. So how can I
No.
keep my cup full while still pouring and having other people pour into me?
Exactly that. You cannot pour from empty cups. So as you say, yourself has to be number one to have that impact you're looking for. And as you said that, I think Tony Robbins is the big advocate for that. It is a business at the end of the day, but the more money you're making, the more impact you're having. So having that outlook on it, like you'll always, especially if your goal is to help as many people as possible, the financial side tends to cover itself because you are putting yourself in that position, as you say, creating events for women so they can come and connect with you, find out what it's like to work with you, but then even speaking, putting yourself in those right situations, connecting with those right kind of people, that impact will just grow and grow from there. And it's about taking advantage where you can. And where are you probably finding the biggest challenge for yourself, Henri, in taking those next steps and achieving those goals you're looking to have?
I actually did this work yesterday, believe it or not. I had a whole call on it with the community. And I think because I was in tech for so long, like I love systems. Even though I am an artist, I love coding, I love creating, I like building and being like getting my hands dirty. And I have discovered that I spend a lot of time building and getting lost in what I can create rather than just actually being the facilitator, being the leader, being connected to people. And that is why I'm so passionate about AI because I'm now building employees and a whole system that's going to run without me, that I can actually focus on just the people. And it's creating those predictable weeks, predictable months of how they interact, what they do. That's and as I scale there, I can actually give that to my women in my community. So that's, I think, been my biggest, like, why am I doing this for hours again when I want to just actually engage with my people? So I think that's it.
Love Yeah, I love it. But as you say, it's that's building that system behind you will allow you to do that. It's getting yourself out of that like day-to-day runnings of the business so you can focus on that impact, focus on your clients and really move the needle like that. And I used to say, bringing on AI, even bringing on like adding on the consistency, you're trying to do a lead gen as well, just adds to that whole system you're trying to build. So it's a really cool aspect. And as you say, just it sometimes it can be quite painful in the time aspect when you feel like you're, especially when you are coding and doing all that tech stuff, like you feel like you're in the weeds for hours sometimes and not actually moved anything. But I think it's just that constant, like 1% better every day, as they always say, gets you to where you need to be. And I have one final question to ask you before we log out. If you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself, Anri?
That is a good question. I'll have to think of that one. It's that it's all going to work out. Maybe not even that. It's that every single thing that you're about to go through in your life, because everybody's life is a roller coaster, every single event, see it as a star. And through your whole life, you're building this constellation. And it's going to suck so much when you're doing it, but imagine the impact it's going to have for someone else. You've gone through the pain, you've done all of it, and you now get to wrap it up into a little gift and a lesson to give to somebody else. And it will suck because my journey has not been easy, even previous to all of this, but sometimes you need to be in the dark to know exactly how bright to shine for somebody else.
Yeah.
And when you're there, you then get to lead somebody else into the light. And I see all of that as a constellation. So I think I just needed to remind my younger self that there's going to be a lot of stuff, but how great of a gift is it that you not only have one lesson to teach someone, but you have multiple events that you get to give to somebody else. So just, you're going to get through it. You're going to have such powerful stories, great scars, a lot of good things that's going to happen, but just don't be angry. Learn the lesson. See how grateful you get to be because of it rather than the anger. And you're going to be a powerful woman one day.
100%. And look at that constellation at the end of it and think, what have I just done? That's so cool. And what a beautiful way to end the podcast. Anri, thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do?
The best place would be LinkedIn or Instagram because I'm always on there. And then you can always just book a call through the links I have available. And then we can just see how I can amplify your journey and make it a lot easier.
Beautiful stuff. And thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Anri Olivier. As she just said, drop her a message on LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm sure she would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.